believes Zimbabweans are capable of spearheading game-changing, first-of-a-kind innovations that challenge the world's traditional ways of doing things.
A brief trip into the future with inventor Maxwell Chikumbutso. He's claiming a scientific breakthrough with this green energy technology, an electric car which he says converts radio frequencies into energy.
Every time the world believes that innovation can only come from rich countries, a small country breaks that myth with its skills. This time, this miracle has happened from the heart of Africa, Zimbabwe, where a new thought has been born. This is not an ordinary idea, but an innovation that can shake the foundations of the entire automobile sector. While the world was watching giants like Tesla and BYD, a brand has quietly stood up, whose presence is now making people like Elon Musk restless. This is not just an electric car, it is a whole thought, a vision, which has risen from the ground that was never counted in the race of technology. But now the same ground is giving birth to a new revolution. So the question is, who is behind this? What is there in this technology that can give sleepless nights to billion-dollar companies? And will it really prove to be a game-changer? In this video, we are going to unveil this mystery. But before moving ahead, do subscribe to the channel so that you can get every such inside news of technology. Let the information reach you first. When a person starts believing in his ideas, he doesn't just dream. He gathers the power to turn them into reality. We see this power again and again in the story of Elon Musk. But today, we are not just talking about Elon. We are talking about an incident that is happening in Zimbabwe, and which may give a new turn to the entire auto industry. A car has come up that has the ability to charge itself, and the technology behind it is so revolutionary that even Elon Musk had to admit that this innovation can leave companies around the world behind. Before we go deeper into that car and its technology, it is important to understand why the whole world takes Elon Musk's words seriously. He was born on 28th of June, 1971, in Pretoria, South Africa. Since childhood, he had a different curiosity for technology. At the age of just 12, he himself learned computer programming and created a video game called Blaster and sold it to a magazine. When he moved to the U.S., he earned degrees in physics and economics from the University of Pennsylvania. It was then that he combined his scientific mind with a business approach. His first company was Zip2, which provided digital map and business directory services. The company was later sold for $307 million, earning Allen $22 million. But his journey didn't stop there. He started a financial company called X.com the same year, which later became PayPal. He understood the importance of online transactions ahead of time and worked on it. eBay bought PayPal in 2002 for $1.5 billion, and Allen alone got more than $150 million. When a person uses technology to improve human life, not just for profit, he becomes an innovator, but a change agent. This thinking is clearly reflected in Elon Musk's early companies. Through Zip2, he imagined the delivery of digital information online at a time when people still relied on print. His belief in PayPal shows that he understood long ago what the transactions of the future would look like. The purpose of Elon's achievements was not just to make money, but to show that the real use of technology is when it makes people's lives easier. He likes to face challenges that others consider impossible. His focus is never on what others are doing, but on what he himself can make better. Elon believes that the real work is to change an industry that is afraid of change. SpaceX is a great example of this, which does not want to limit space travel to scientific experiments only, but wants to bring it within the reach of the common man. Projects like Neuralink show that their vision is far beyond today's needs. a future in which the boundaries between man and machine will become even more blurred. His most revolutionary initiative has been Tesla. When the company started in 2003, electric vehicles seemed to be a thing of the future. But Elon proved that these vehicles are not only good for the environment, but can also compete with petrol cars in performance. In 2008, the Tesla Roadster changed people's thinking, and then the Model S, X, 3, and Y brought electric vehicles to the general market. Tesla's impact was not limited to cars. It forced the entire auto industry to change its direction. It was Tesla who put forward the idea of considering electric as the future, not an option. When a new technology starts to gain ground, the old system has to either adapt or get left behind. This is the case with the auto industry today. Tesla has directly challenged the traditional dealership system with things like its direct-to-customer model and over-the-air software updates. Big automakers are now forced to invest heavily in EV, electric vehicle technology, or they will be out of the race. Though Tesla has scaled great heights, it has also faced many hurdles along the way. Opposition from old players, questions over the utility of electric vehicles, and at times attempts to stop its direct sales model. But still, Tesla did not give up and pushed the industry into a new era with its innovation. Elon Musk doesn't just focus on technological advancements. He also keeps an eye on the emerging competitors around him. He has not only praised the Chinese company BYD, but has also called their cars fantastic. But what he said about Zimbabwe's new self-powering cars was more impressive than anything he has ever said. If we really want to understand why Alan's words mean so much, we need to understand the evolution of cars from their roots. How cars went from a time when they ran on steam alone to now being able to power themselves without any external charging. Cars have come a long way. When steam-powered vehicles were first dreamed up in the 18th century, it was a revolutionary thing. French inventor Nicolas-Joseph Cugnot built a three-wheeled heavy military vehicle in 1769 that traveled at just 2.5 miles per hour. It was slow, stopped frequently, but proved that humans could one day be able to propel themselves with machinery. In the 19th century, engineers in Britain and America took this idea even further. Names like Richard Trevithick and Oliver Evans conducted several experiments with steam-powered vehicles. These vehicles could run on water, run on roads, but were still slow, heavy, and overheating machines. While these early experiments had limitations, these efforts became the foundation of today's state-of-the-art electric and self-powering cars. When old ways get tired, man finds new ways. This is what happened when the limitations of steam-powered vehicles became apparent. They were heavy, slow, and stalled frequently. These shortcomings forced inventors to think in a new direction, and then attention turned to the internal combustion engine. This idea was turned into reality by Carl Benz of Germany, when he built a vehicle in 1885 that is considered today's first real car. This three-wheeled car was powered by a small engine, whose power was just 0.75 horsepower. But it was the beginning of a great era. The special thing about this car was that it could be started immediately. There was no need for a boiler or long wait. This is the reason why it started the era of petrol-powered vehicles, an era that gave birth to mass production of cars all over the world. In the beginning, cars were only a dream of the rich. But when Henry Ford introduced the Model T in 1908, the picture changed. He made cars so cheap and easy to manufacture that even ordinary people began to dream of owning one. And that's not all. Ford invented a method of mass production that transformed the industry. By 1927, more than 15 million Model Ts had been sold. For the first time, ordinary families could own a car, changing not only everyday life, but also the layout of cities, the distance to work, and the meaning of relationships. In the 20th century, petrol-powered vehicles became a hallmark of every street. Companies like General Motors, Mercedes-Benz, and Chrysler built cars that were faster, more durable, and more comfortable than before. New features like electric starters, automatic gears, and better braking systems made driving even easier. But there was another side to this revolution. As cars grew, so did the environment, burning fuel. Smoke began to build up in cities, the air became toxic, and the effects on the climate became clear. The situation became more serious in the 1970s, especially after the 1973 oil crisis, when oil prices went out of control and the world realized how dangerous dependence on petrol could be. This is where the seeds were sown that later prepared the ground for the return of electric vehicles. A new idea, a new direction, which was going to shake up the entire auto industry in the years to come. While we consider electric vehicles the technology of the future today, it is surprising to know that they were once a thing of the past and much more popular than petrol vehicles. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, 1 in 3 vehicles on U.S. roads was electric. These vehicles were loved for their quiet ride, easy handling, and the ability to start without a hand crank. But every good thing has its limitations. These vehicles had limited range, and charging stations were not available. On the other hand, when manufacturers like Ford started mass-producing petrol cars, and cheap fuel reserves became available, petrol vehicles became the first choice of the common man. As a result, electric vehicles had almost disappeared by the 1930s. For a long time after this, EVs remained confined to laboratories and research reports. But the 1990s brought about a change. Questions raised about environmental pollution, global warming, and dependence on oil-forced companies to look at EVs again. General Motors launched experimental electric cars like the EV1, but they could not go very far due to cost and lack of infrastructure. The biggest turning point came in 2003, when Elon Musk and a few engineers founded Tesla Motors. They had only one goal: to show that electric vehicles could not only be practical, but also fast, attractive, and technologically advanced. In 2008, Tesla launched the Roadster, the first electric car that could run more than 200 miles on a single charge. After this, Tesla strengthened its hold in the market with Model S, X, 3, and Y. Now, EV is not just a thing of the future, but has come within the reach of every common man. Tesla's success forced traditional car companies around the world to think. Now there is no way to run away from change. Today, the world is on the verge of another technological revolution: self-driving cars. Companies like Tesla, Google's Waymo, and General Motors are investing billions of dollars to make cars that can travel without human assistance. Features like autopilot and full self-driving are already changing the meaning of cars, although fully autonomous vehicles are still a long way off. Along with this, another big change is taking shape: energy independence. Companies are now working on alternatives like solar cars, solid-state batteries, and hydrogen fuel to eliminate dependence on petrol and diesel. But the truth is that technology does not develop at the same pace everywhere. While Western countries have gone far ahead in the game of petrol and electric cars, a completely different story is going on in Zimbabwe, Africa. And this is where the real excitement begins, where a whole new idea is being born in the absence of limitations and resources, one that has the power to challenge the entire auto industry. If we want to understand Zimbabwe's automobile journey, we need to look at it as a story of struggle, change, and hope. It's not just about cars. It's about a nation's determination to find a way forward despite the odds. European companies dominated the automobile world in Zimbabwe, once known as Southern Rhodesia. British brands like Morris were visible on every street, sold by local dealers like Pusey and Payne. Cars were not just a means of travel, but a mark of fame and modernity. The entire auto system was designed for the colonial authorities. Road construction, distribution channels, and import policies, everything was modeled after the outside world. This prevented the country's own automotive sector from ever thriving. By the time independence came, the country was already completely dependent on external resources. Later, the country faced severe economic and political shocks, hyperinflation, international sanctions, and unstable policies. This environment severely affected investment in industry. Even the small attempts to set up car manufacturing plants were defeated by cheap imported cars in the market. In such an environment, second-hand cars became a cheap and viable option for people. But the glut of these vehicles made the situation even worse for local manufacturing. At the same time, Zimbabwe was completely dependent on imports for its petrol and diesel needs, making fuel shortages and inflation common. Long queues, expensive oil, all became part of people's everyday life. These problems raised a question: is there a way to make the country self-sufficient and transport affordable, sustainable, and environmentally friendly? Despite all this, however, Zimbabwe took some bold steps. For example, Willow Vale Motor Industries partnered with foreign companies to try and assemble some models domestically. But these efforts did not get much boost due to cheap imported vehicles. But now the wind is changing. A new wave of EVs is sweeping across Africa, and Zimbabwe is not far behind. Startups like Mobility for Africa are now manufacturing electric tricycles aimed at rural women, which are not only cheaper, but also better for the environment. These vehicles are being given to people under the lease-to-purchase scheme, which has made movement of women in villages easier and has also increased their economic participation. This change is not just of technology, but of thinking, how innovation can flourish even amidst limited resources. Zimbabwe's greatest strength lies in its sky, the sun that shines brightly and is constantly present every day. This sun has become a new hope for this country today. With the help of solar energy, Zimbabwe is trying to build a transport system that is not only sustainable, but also eliminates dependence on imported fuels like petrol and diesel. This journey is still in its early stages, but some local innovators and startups are working on vehicles that can power themselves without any heavy infrastructure, charging stations, or foreign oil. And this is the biggest answer to the problems that today trouble countries like Zimbabwe. Frequent power outages, lack of charging facilities, and expensive fuel. If Africa wants to understand its true strength, then it will have to rewrite the story of energy. Today, some innovative scientists and youth are working on self-powered vehicles that can run on radio frequency or other alternative sources. If this technology continues to grow in the right direction, not just Zimbabwe, but the whole of Africa could see a new revolution in transportation. This revolution will not just be good for the environment, but also economically empowering. Billions of dollars will be saved on fuel, and local industries will get a boost. And that's why it's no coincidence that when Zimbabwe has a self-powered car that doesn't rely on a charging network, it has caught the attention of Elon Musk. But the question is it just a technological wonder? Or is it a challenge that has made even a giant like Tesla think? In fact, Africa's approach to energy has always been different from the rest of the world. People here find solutions even with limited resources. The continent is so sunny that it is home to 60% of the world's best solar energy capacity. Yet, sadly, today, Africa has only 1% of the world's total solar power installations. This paradox begs the question: when everything is available, why is it not being used? Times are changing. New schemes have been launched, solar panels are being installed at a rapid pace, and Africa's next generation has realized that their future is in their own hands. This is not just a battle for electricity, but for self-reliance. And Zimbabwe is no longer just participating in the race. It is setting an example for the world. Imagine what could happen if sunlight became more than just light, but the power to change the future of an entire continent? That's the dream Africa is now dreaming, and what once seemed impossible is now becoming a reality. By 2030, it's estimated that 80% of Africa's new electricity generation capacity could come from renewable energy. And the brightest star of this revolution is solar power. Countries like Morocco, South Africa, and Kenya have already made tremendous progress in this direction. Morocco's Noor Solar Complex, one of the world's largest solar plants, not only powers millions of homes, but has become a model for how other African countries can move forward. Now, Ethiopia, Namibia, and other countries are also working rapidly to reduce their dependence on oil through their own solar projects. But Africa's real need is not just to provide electricity to cities. The real battle is to provide light to villages and remote areas. And this challenge is being tackled by some innovative private players like NG Energy Access, M-Copa, and D.Light. These companies are installing off-grid solar systems that not only light up homes, but also power hospitals, schools, and small shops. The impact is not just limited to convenience. It is the beginning of economic growth and a better lifestyle. This change can be seen even more closely in Zimbabwe. There, organizations like Mobility for Africa are now providing solar-powered electric tricycles to women. That, too, through a lease-to-purchase model. These tricycles have given women a powerful way to reach markets from remote villages, carry goods, and earn a livelihood. It is not just a ride, it is a new freedom, where there is no worry about fuel, only the speed of travel and possibilities. Solar energy has brought a new revolution not only in transportation, but also in the field of agriculture. Many African farmers still rely on rain or use expensive diesel engines for irrigation, making farming expensive and uncertain. Kenyan startup Sun Culture has come up with a simple and smart solution to this problem: solar-powered irrigation systems. This technology allows small farmers to water their crops on time at a lower cost. So far, Sun Culture has installed thousands of solar pumps and raised over $40 million in funding. The impact is clear. Crop yields have increased, costs have decreased, and farmers have become more self-sufficient. This change makes one thing clear: Africa's true strength lies not just in its resources, but in its thinking and ability to embrace innovation. The sun is no longer just energy, it is also hope. The importance of energy-efficient farming. Farming today is not just about soil and hard work. It's a game of technology, energy, and smart thinking. Farmers in many parts of Africa are now using solar-powered irrigation systems, electric farm implements, and solar cold storage. The result is not only that yields are rising, but atmospheric pollution is also falling. While Africa has high expectations for solar energy, challenges are also looming. One major problem is electronic waste, that is, worn-out solar panels and batteries. Since these products often have a lifespan of less than 4 years, and Africa does not yet have a robust recycling system in place, this waste could become a new crisis in the future. In light of this danger, some organizations are stepping up. Companies like SolarAid are running initiatives to collect old solar lamps and dispose of them safely. That is, Now the matter is not just about an invention. It has become a question of the future of power, market, and technological leadership. So the question now is in front of you. Will the world embrace this innovation with open arms and write a new chapter in technology? Or will there be an attempt to suppress it so that the current powers can remain in power? What do you think? Is Zimbabwe really about to usher in the next industrial revolution? Let us know in the comments below.